Hello everyone, welcome to Tangle with Tracy Anne. Today I'll be focusing on two tangles, APACORE and JAVIK. I'll be using some sort of toned paper. Today I'll be using this grey toned paper, and I've cut a piece out of this mixed media paper the size of a Zendala tile. I'll put the dimensions below, or you could use an already cut Zendala tile in grey or tan. I'll be using a micron 01, a white gel pen, a white charcoal pencil, and a nice clean tortillion. Besides that, I'll be adding some coloured pencils. Now I will list the colours and the type of pencils I use below. I find it very useful to have one of these Mono Zero erasers made by Tomboy handy. To add some finishing touches, I'll also be using this Uniball eye pen. Microns get clogged up, so it's handy to have one of these. Once I've blended all this with my tortillion, I want to spray it with a fixative, that way it won't smudge. But before I do that, I want to get rid of any bits of charcoal pencil that have gone over the edges, and that's where that nice little fine Mono Zero eraser comes in. It's very handy to just clean up the edges. I'm going to use this matte fixative, and I'm using a matte fixative because then I can go back and add things and draw on top of it. Now that it's fully dry, I'm going to colour with my coloured pencils. I'm starting off with a blue, and that's going to be my main colour. Now I'm pressing very lightly. I just want an overall light layer. I'm coming in now with a magenta, and towards the edge I'm pressing quite hard. You can press hard where you don't want any other colour on top, but you can see how I've lightened the touch where I want the colours to overlap. It's very important that when you want to blend colours that you don't flatten the tooth of the paper too much. Once you flatten the tooth of the paper, you can't blend nice and easily your colours. So I'm going to do the tips with this colour, and then I'm going to gradually add layers until I've built up and got a nice smooth transition of colour. The pencils I'm using are Prismacolor, and they're quite soft and easy to blend. They do crumble a little bit. I often use polychromos, but they're a harder pencil and they require more layering to get a nice even blend. The only reason I'm using Prismacolors today is because it's a little bit quicker. You, of course, could use any pencil that you like. Just remember, the harder the pencil, the better off you are doing more layers with a lighter touch. Using this dark green pencil, I'm going to take it along the edges, up along those creases to create a shadow. And it might look a little bit harsh at the moment, but when I add more blue or more colour to it, it will soften that and it'll just look like a faint shadow. I always keep a paintbrush handy to brush off all those crumbs. If you don't get rid of them, they can smudge and really mess up your colouring. It's good to keep your colouring in pencils nice and sharp. That way you can get right into the corners and really get into the tooth. Unfortunately, Prismas are very soft, so this sharper point is a bit too much for them. I use a desktop sharpener, so it does give them a very sharp point. But you can see now that it's sharper, I'm able to really concentrate on those little nooks and crannies. Now that I've finished colouring, I'm going to use my Uniball eye pen to define the edges a little bit more. Now, it will float above the wax a little bit, so you've got to be very careful you don't smudge this. If you were to use a micron pen, it would really get clogged up. If you're careful not to smudge this pen, it'll eventually dry and sit on top of those coloured pencils. Using my white gel pen, I'm going to go back and redefine the lines in this JAVIK pattern. And once we've got all of those defined, I can add some little dots. I often get asked, what do you do when your white gel pen doesn't work? The trick is really just to have a very light touch. As soon as you press hard, you get those lines, and you also restrict the flow of the ink. So if it's not working, just remember light touch and lift your pen up a little bit and just feather it along, and it should work unless it's dried up. And then I don't know what you can do, but mostly it's keep a light touch with a white gel pen. Once your ink is completely dry, go back with your black Uniball eye pen and add some fescue. I did a couple of tiles using coloured pencils, and I'll put a link below this video on which colours I use for this tile and also this tile. On some pastel paper, I used some pastel pencils to colour this tile. That paper was a little bit too thin. And this one is a tan tile using also pastel pencils. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, do that so that you don't miss out on future videos. If you'd like to see more of my videos, click on the links on the screen or head over to my YouTube channel, and don't forget, hit that subscribe button.